Are you fond of Apple? Not the fruit. The massive tech company, which as of 2021 has a worth of over $2 trillion. We all know the smart devices introduced by Apple, but the most noteworthy of them all is their leading product, iPhone. With its rise in popularity, the introduction of the iPhone has been increasing constantly. Everyone just seems to fall in love with this smart yet sleek product. But have you ever wondered about the mega operation that goes behind the making of this stunning product? Well, if not, then that's what we will be sharing with you in this video. The things discovered are sure to put you in a state of awe. Welcome to Rich Symptom, a channel where you learn and grow with every single video. Now make sure you hit the like button before we move on. How exactly does a day go for an average Apple factory worker? It is a couple of minutes past 9 a.m. Thousands of employees dressed in pink jackets are getting ready to make iPhones at Pegatron Corp's vast factory on Shanghai's outskirts. The men and women look at face scanners and swipe badges to clock in at the protection turnstile. To make sure they do not work unnecessary overtime, there are strict ID checks. It takes less than 2 seconds to process. This is the domain in which the most profitable smartphones in the world are made. Part of the tightly guarded supply chain of Apple Inc. Pegatron and Apple have introduced new procedures to prevent iPhone assemblers from doing unnecessary overtime after years of complaints that workers in China were forced to work long, grueling hours. John Xu, known as Big John, is the president of the Pegatron plant, where iPhones are manufactured by as many as 50,000 people. Instead of wasting it on unproductive distractions, including roll calls and ID checks, it is his responsibility to ensure that more time is spent making phones. Every second counts, says Big John. The employees follow arrows on the floor and motivational posters on the wall after going through metal detectors to sniff out camera-equipped gadgets that could be used to leak photographs of unreleased new items. To avoid injuries or suicide attempts, they crawl up a stairwell with safety netting stretching around the center. They recycle blue hairnets at a bank of lockers and swap their shoes for new plastic slip-on slippers. The 320 Worker Development Unit lines up for its roll call at 9:20 a.m. with military precision in 4 rows. Is Apple Inc. cruel to its employees? An undercover report has found the poor treatment of staff in Chinese factories that produce Apple products. Filming on the production line of the iPhone revealed that Apple's commitments to protecting employees were regularly violated. In the Pegatron factories, it found standards on workers' hours, ID cards, dormitories, work meetings, and juvenile workers were being violated. However, Apple said that it strongly disagreed with the conclusions of the program. Exhausted employees in the Pegatron factories on the outskirts of Shanghai were filmed falling asleep on their 12-hour shifts. Despite repeated demands for a day off, workers working in the factory making parts for Apple computers have to work even 18 days in a row. According to China Labor Watch, the factory is still keeping a secret. Base pay is so low that the advocacy group said employees need overtime simply to make ends meet. It reported that 1,261 pay stubs from September and October 2015 from Pegatron's Shanghai facility show signs of excessive overtime. Pegatron countered by suggesting that the party miscounted because state holidays were straddled by that era when pay was 3 times usual. Apple and Pegatron say China Labor Watch never contacted them, claiming it approached Apple but didn't get a response. Since March, the group said that an additional 441 pay stubs have been collected, pointing to continued unnecessary overtime. Pegatron said that it adheres to the guidelines of the Electronic Industry Citizenship Coalition that limit overtime to around 80 hours a month. Apple said its suppliers conform to the code of conduct of the industry community, while Pegatron said that since its job is seasonal, it can get exceptions to China's state limit of 36 overtime hours a month. For Tim Cook, the chief executive officer of Apple, the scrutiny is a direct challenge to the carefully assembled global supply chain that he created under the late Steve Jobs as head of operations. In 2015, the iPhone manufacturer said it completed 640 audits covering more than 1.6 million employees. Apple sent medical experts in 2013 to investigate the state of deaths of staff at Pegatron. A 15-year-old died of pneumonia, and the cause of death was not known to anyone. Apple has said that it has found no connection with working conditions. Manufacturing is not a sin, said Denise Yao, who manages the partnership between Pegatron and its strong client in Cupertino, California. She said during the trip, people think we're just squeezing everything out of the workers. To do that, the new ID scheme was introduced by Pegatron, with badges connected to a database that records time, salaries, and even dorm fees and lunch expenses. The agreement has helped to drive compliance to almost 100% with overtime laws. How Apple Inc. protected any leaks. To avoid new methods of leaking confidential information, Apple continues to refine its security measures. Suppliers need to store parts in opaque containers, but before leaving the premises, all things must be transparent and scanned for metal. In a jar with tamper-proof labels, everything contained must be sealed. All pieces have distinctive serial numbers that fit where they were made. The inventory is taken regularly, with records of scrapped parts every week. This is how Apple prevents any type of leaking or even theft. If you're enjoying the video so far, hit the subscribe button as it gives us a reason to bring more quality content. Let's get back to the video now. Why some employees prefer overtime. Some employees welcome the chance to raise their salaries, but that trend has subsided. The maximum is 60, but because the wages are low, the employees would prefer more hours. Overtime as they can learn a lot more, so they always want more overtime. 3 years ago, during the old working mechanism, workers regularly clocked more than the cap because they wanted the extra money. That isn't possible anymore. This is because of the scheme that helped them build. It connects the turnover time of the roll call iPads and the ID badge of each worker, sending automatic warnings to managers if employees are close to the 60-hour limit or have clocked in 6 days in a row. Try to go outside those thresholds, and executives and employees said the machine immediately blocks entry. Increased income transparency was one change that Pegatron executives were willing to share. A touchscreen terminal across the campus, workers can now review their hours, pay stubs, and monthly accommodation and food expenses. Take-home pay, including overtime, ranges from 4,400 yuan to 5,600 yuan, $680 to $890 a month. One worker who supported employees in accessing automated information stations revealed that her basic salary was 2,020 yuan. An iPhone 6 cost 4,488 yuan in China. The way forward for Apple factories. Pegatron encapsulates China's changing social and economic environment, which remains the linchpin of the global supply chain of electronics amid years of increasing labor costs. The world's output of anything from laptops and televisions to smartphones and tablets is dominated by contract manufacturers such as Foxconn and Pegatron. The emphasis is now turning to productivity and retention of talent as wages increase and the job pools diminish by an aging population. The old nondescript factories and sweatshops are giving way to modern-style campuses with amenities such as free Wi-Fi, TV lounges, cleaning facilities, and even updated dorm options. Wages, benefits, and housing facilities are being adjusted by all businesses around the world. Workers now have more knowledge of the law, and factories have been pushed to improve. At the same time, as the labor force shrinks, China's factories find it more difficult to find and maintain individuals, resulting in more job hopping. Still, for the past 3 years, retention rates at Pegatron's Shanghai factory have increased by about 20% a year. Turnover averaged about 16% in 2020. In the end, a group of women back in the cafeteria rush to finish lunch before their 50-minute break is over. They come from all over China, from Sichuan in the west to the northeast of Shandong. For more than a few months, none had been there. Compared to other factories, this is still relaxing. Thank you for watching this. If you found this video interesting, do like and subscribe and let us know in the comments below about your opinion on this. See you in the next video, and until then, stay tuned to Rich Symptom.